Are you ready to explore the unknown from the comfort of your RV? Then let's make a bucket list. Join us as we journey through the top 10 haunted locations open to the public. We're talking about places where the veil between our world and the next is thin, where shadows move on their own, and whispers echo through the halls. Buckle up, because this is gonna be a wild ride. Our first stop takes us to Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. Eastern State Penitentiary opened in 1829 and was designed to create genuine regret and penitence in the hearts of convicts. It was a revolutionary model for its time with its hub-and-spoke design and was the first to implement solitary confinement on a large scale. But over the years it became known for something much more sinister. Imagine the despair, the anguish, the raw human emotion that's soaked into these walls over decades. The prison housed some of America's most notorious criminals, including Al Capone and bank robber Willie Sutton. The harsh conditions and brutal punishments have left an indelible mark, with many claiming that the spirits of former inmates still roam the halls. The atmosphere here is incredibly intense. These walls have seen over 140 years of misery and despair. Many who have visited claim to hear whispers, footsteps, and even see apparitions. Let's go check out some of the hot spots known for paranormal activity. Try Cell Block 12, one of the most haunted areas of the penitentiary. Visitors and staff have reported seeing shadowy figures darting through the corridors and hearing echoing whispers that seem to come from nowhere. If you listen carefully, you might hear them too. Another famous spot, Al Capone's cell. Unlike the other prisoners, Capone had a relatively luxurious setup, but even he wasn't immune to the supernatural. Capone himself reported being haunted by the ghost of James Clark, one of the victims of the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Could his spirit still be here seeking revenge? As the sun sets, the penitentiary transforms into an even more terrifying place. The shadows grow longer, and the silence becomes deafening. Night tours are available for the brave, offering a chance to explore the prison in the dark, where many claim the paranormal activity intensifies. Cell Block 4, another area rife with ghostly encounters. Visitors have seen ghostly faces, heard eerie moans, and felt sudden cold spots. It's easy to see why Eastern State is considered one of the most haunted places in the world. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying the heavy, eerie atmosphere of this place. If you're looking for a unique and chilling adventure, a visit here is a must. Nestled high in the Colorado Rockies, the Stanley Hotel stands as a beacon of Victorian elegance. But beneath its opulent facade lies a dark secret, a history steeped in the paranormal. The Stanley Hotel, nestled in the Rocky Mountains, opened its doors in 1909. This grand Georgian-style hotel quickly gained a reputation not only for its luxury but also for its supernatural occurrences. It's no wonder Stephen King found the inspiration for The Shining here. Over the years, the Stanley has become a hotspot for paranormal activity. Guests and staff alike have reported countless eerie experiences, from ghostly apparitions to mysterious sounds echoing through the halls. The atmosphere here is electric with history and mystery. These halls have witnessed over a century of stories, both real and spectral. Many believe that the spirits of former guests and staff still linger. Let's check out some of the most haunted spots in the hotel. Room 217, perhaps the most famous room in the hotel. In 1911, housekeeper Elizabeth Wilson was seriously injured in an explosion here. Since then, guests have reported her ghost unpacking their bags and tidying up the room. Stephen King himself stayed in this room, and it's where he conceived the idea for The Shining. One location is the concert hall, another hotspot for paranormal activity. People have seen the ghost of Paul, a former handyman who is known to enforce the hotel's curfew by telling guests to get out. They've also reported hearing music playing when the hall is empty. There is the staircase known as the Vortex, a spot many believe to be a supernatural portal. People report feeling dizzy or seeing orbs and apparitions on the stairs. It's like the spirits are swirling around us. Book a visit here and request room 217. Some say the former housekeeper, Mrs. Wilson, still lingers there, tidying up and rearranging things. Guys, get ready because we're diving deep into Waverly Hills Sanatorium. This place is a monster, a massive, decaying building with a dark history. Waverly Hills Sanatorium opened in 1910 as a tuberculosis hospital designed to treat patients suffering from the White Plague. At the height of the epidemic, it is said that a patient died every hour. With so much death and despair, it's no wonder that many believe the spirits of former patients still linger here. Over 63,000 people are rumored to have died here. The sanatorium closed in 1961, but the tragic energy remains. Today, Waverly Hills is considered one of the most haunted places in the world. Within these walls, there is something called the body chute, also known as the death tunnel. It was used to discreetly transport the deceased from the hospital to waiting hearses. Today, many visitors report feeling cold spots, hearing disembodied voices, and even seeing shadowy figures making their way up the tunnel. There is also room 502, one of the most haunted spots in the entire sanatorium. Legend has it that a nurse hanged herself here in 1928, and another nurse supposedly jumped to her death from the window. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions of nurses and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. Not just room 502, but the entire 5th floor is known for its ghostly encounters. People have seen ghostly faces peering out of windows, heard footsteps, and even felt unseen hands touch them. It's easy to see why Waverly Hills is a magnet for paranormal investigators. Walking the same halls where so many lost their lives is an experience you won't soon forget. Just be prepared for the intense energy that permeates this place. It's not for the faint of heart. Alcatraz. Just the name sends chills down your spine. This infamous island prison is more than just cold, hard cells. Alcatraz served as a federal prison from 1934 to 1963, housing some of America's most notorious criminals, including Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. The prison's isolated location and harsh conditions made it a place of despair and desperation. Over the years, Alcatraz has gained a reputation for being one of the most haunted places in the country. The spirits of former inmates and guards are said to still roam its cold, dank corridors. The ferry ride to Alcatraz is a mix of beauty and foreboding. The scenic views of San Francisco Bay contrast sharply with the grim history awaiting you on the island. There are specific areas within Alcatraz known for intense paranormal activity. Cell Block D, also known as the Hole. It was reserved for the most troublesome inmates. The conditions here were extremely harsh, and many prisoners spent days or even weeks in complete darkness. Visitors and staff have reported hearing disembodied screams and feeling a heavy, oppressive energy in this area. This is the second on our list where Al Capone was held. Despite his infamy, even he couldn't escape the ghostly happenings of Alcatraz. It's said that Capone heard spectral banjo music in his cell, which drove him to the brink of madness. The infirmary is another hotspot. Also known as Hospital Wing, where many inmates died. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures, hearing faint moans, and feeling sudden cold spots. It's easy to see why Alcatraz is a magnet for paranormal investigators. It's said that the spirits of those who died within its walls still roam the halls, searching for relief from their suffering. Remember, folks, this island was a place of confinement and punishment. The residual energy is palpable, and it's not something you want to mess with. Buckle up, because we're heading to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This historic battlefield isn't just a place where history was made, it's a place where thousands of souls lost their lives in a brutal conflict. The Battle of Gettysburg was fought over 3 days in July 1863 and was one of the bloodiest battles of the American Civil War. Over 51,000 soldiers were killed, wounded, or went missing, leaving behind an indelible mark on this hallowed ground. It's no wonder that Gettysburg is considered one of the most haunted locations in the United States. The sheer scale of death and suffering has led many to believe that the spirits of soldiers still roam the fields, seeking peace. From phantom soldiers to mysterious sounds, Gettysburg is a hotspot for paranormal activity. The air here is thick with history. Everywhere you look, there are monuments and markers commemorating the lives lost. But it's not just history buffs who visit. Many come seeking an encounter with the supernatural. Let's start with some of the most haunted areas. The first stop is Devil's Den, a rocky outcrop that saw fierce fighting. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions of soldiers, hearing gunfire and feeling sudden drops in temperature. Some have even captured ghostly images on their cameras. It's a place where the past feels incredibly present. Next is the Wheat Field, another site of intense combat. Known as the Bloody Wheat Field, this area saw thousands of casualties. People have reported seeing ghostly soldiers marching and hearing the sounds of battle echoing through the night. Lastly is Little Round Top, where some of the fiercest fighting took place. Visitors have seen ghostly figures, heard voices calling out, and even felt phantom touches. It's easy to see why Gettysburg is a magnet for paranormal investigators. Gettysburg is more than just a historical site, it's a portal to the past, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. Alright, thrill seekers, next up is a behemoth of a haunted location, the legendary Queen Mary, docked in Long Beach, California. The RMS Queen Mary sailed the North Atlantic Ocean from 1936 to 1967. During its time, it served as both a luxury liner and a troop ship during World War II. With its rich history come countless stories of paranormal activity, making it one of the most haunted locations in the United States. Over the years, the Queen Mary has seen its share of death and tragedy. From accidents during its construction to wartime incidents and mysterious deaths on board, the ship is believed to be a hotspot for ghostly activity. The Queen Mary is home to numerous spirits, from former passengers to crew members. Let's start our tour with some of the spookiest spots on the ship. One of the most infamous areas is said to be the first-class swimming pool, one of the most haunted locations on the Queen Mary. Although it's been closed for decades, many visitors and staff have reported seeing wet footprints, hearing splashing sounds, and even encountering the ghostly apparitions of women in 1930 style swimsuits. Next is the engine room, another hotspot for paranormal activity. The most famous spirit here is that of John Petter, a young engineer who was tragically crushed by a watertight door during a drill. Visitors have reported seeing his ghost wandering the area and hearing unexplained noises. Now onto the infamous B deck, where many guests have reported seeing the ghost of a little girl named Jackie, who drowned in the pool. Her laughter and cries echo through the halls, and some have even captured her voice on recordings. In the Queen's Salon, the spirit of a woman in a long white dress has been seen dancing alone, as if reliving a moment from a grand ball. It's easy to see why the Queen Mary is a favorite destination for paranormal investigators. Just be prepared, you might not be alone. Now let's talk about a place steeped in true crime and paranormal intrigue, the Lizzie Borden House in Fall River, Massachusetts. The Lizzie Borden House is where one of the most notorious unsolved murders in American history occurred. On August 4, 1892, Andrew and Abby Borden were found hacked to death with an axe. Lizzie Borden, their daughter, was accused of the murders, but was acquitted. The mystery remains unsolved to this day, and many believe the spirits of the Bordens still linger in the house. The gruesome nature of the crime and the unanswered questions have made this house a hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors and staff have reported countless eerie experiences, from ghostly apparitions to unexplained noises. When you first enter, you see the sitting room where Andrew Borden was found murdered on the couch. Visitors have reported feeling a cold presence, hearing whispers, and even seeing the ghostly figure of Andrew himself sitting on the couch. Then upstairs you find the guest bedroom where Abby Borden was found dead. Guests staying here have reported hearing footsteps, feeling sudden cold spots, and seeing the apparition of a woman believed to be Abby Borden. Down the hall is the master bedroom where Lizzie Borden allegedly burned a dress the day after the murders. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures, hearing disembodied voices, and experiencing sudden chills. It's easy to see why the Lizzie Borden house is a magnet for paranormal investigators. Oh, did I mention that this house is a working bed and breakfast where you can spend the night? Well, if you're brave enough to spend a night in this chilling piece of history, there are a few things to keep in mind. Be respectful. This is a place where real tragedy occurred. Don't provoke the spirits, and be aware of your surroundings. You never know what you might encounter. For our next stop, we're heading to a place synonymous with witchcraft, hauntings, and all things spooky: Salem, Massachusetts. Salem, Massachusetts is a town with a storied past. The Salem witch trials led to the execution of 20 people and the imprisonment of many more. The fear and hysteria of that time have left a lingering presence that many believe haunts the town to this day. The witch trials were a dark period in American history, marked by paranoia and injustice. Today, Salem embraces its haunted history with numerous historical sites, museums, and ghost tours that explore the supernatural side of this historic town. The first stop is the Witch House, the only structure still standing in Salem with direct ties to the witch trials. It was the home of Judge Jonathan Corwin, who presided over the trials. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly apparitions, hearing unexplained noises, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. The next stop is the Old Burying Point Cemetery, one of the oldest cemeteries in the United States. Many of Salem's early settlers and victims of the witch trials are buried here. People have reported seeing ghostly figures wandering among the graves, hearing disembodied voices, and experiencing sudden cold spots. On to the Joshua Ward House, one of the most haunted locations in Salem. Built on the site of Sheriff George Corwin's house, who was notorious for his role in the witch trials, it's said to be haunted by the spirits of those he tortured. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly apparitions, feeling sudden chills, and even being physically touched by unseen hands. Now, the Salem Witch Trials Memorial, the spirits of those wrongfully executed are said to linger. Visitors often leave tokens of remembrance, and some have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sorrow and unease. The whole town comes alive with festivities, from haunted houses and parades to seances and ghost hunts. But be warned, Salem draws huge crowds during this time, so book your RV spot well in advance. Get ready, because we're rolling into one of America's most haunted plantations, the Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana. The Myrtles Plantation was built in 1796 and has earned the reputation of being one of the most haunted houses in America. With a history filled with murder, mystery, and the supernatural, it's no wonder that this place is a magnet for ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike. Over the years, the Myrtles Plantation has been the site of numerous tragic events, from the murder of William Winter on the front porch to the ghostly apparition of a young girl named Chloe. The plantation's dark past is palpable. Check out the grand hallway, where many visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures. The most famous of these is Chloe, a former slave who was allegedly hanged for poisoning the family. Her spirit is said to roam the halls, often appearing in photographs. Visit the French bedroom, another hotspot for paranormal activity. Guests have reported seeing a young girl in old-fashioned clothing, believed to be one of the victims of Chloe's poisoning. The feeling of being watched is almost constant here. Don't forget the staircase where William Winter was shot. He staggered up the stairs, collapsing on the 17th step. Visitors have heard his dying footsteps echoing through the night, and seen his ghostly figure reenacting his final moments. Once you had your fill of this creepy mansion, venture outside because the grounds of the plantation are just as haunted as the house itself. The ghost of a young Native American girl has been seen, and many report hearing unexplained noises and seeing shadowy figures moving among the trees. Past guests have reported seeing children playing in the halls, a ghost in a rocking chair, and even a man who walks through walls. You can even stay overnight in the plantation if you're brave enough. Just be prepared for the paranormal punch it packs. This is one road trip you won't soon forget. Brace yourselves because we're ending our journey at the most terrifying destination yet, the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa. The Villisca Axe Murder House was the site of a horrific crime that shocked the nation. On the night of June 9, 1912, 8 people, including 6 children, were brutally murdered with an axe. The case remains unsolved to this day, and many believe the spirits of the victims still haunt the house. The gruesome nature of the crime and the unanswered questions have made this house a magnet for paranormal activity. Visitors and investigators have reported countless eerie experiences, from ghostly apparitions to unexplained noises and a pervasive sense of dread. Talk about a dark energy when you step into the children's bedroom, where the young Moore children and their friends, the Stillinger sisters, were found murdered. Visitors have reported hearing children's laughter, seeing ghostly figures, and feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness. Let's see what we can find in the parents' bedroom where Josiah and Sarah Moore were found. Guests have experienced cold spots, heard whispers, and seen shadowy figures. The feeling of being watched is almost constant here. Most houses have a creepy attic, but this is another level. The attic here is where it's believed the killer hid before committing the murders. People have reported hearing footsteps, seeing unexplained lights, and feeling a malevolent presence. It's easy to see why the Villisca Axe Murder House is a favorite destination for paranormal investigators. The living room is another area of intense activity. Visitors have seen apparitions of the victims, heard phantom voices, and felt sudden chills. The entire house seems to be a living testament to the horror that occurred here. The house remains largely unchanged since the murders, with the original furnishings and even the axe marks still visible. You can actually spend the night in the house, but I warn you, it's not for the faint of heart. This is as real as it gets, folks. Are you brave enough to face the spirits that haunt the Villisca Axe Murder House? Thanks for joining us on this chilling adventure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more travel adventures. And if you've been to any of these infamous spots or have your own scary locations, share them in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe and stay spooky.